Welcome to the Playful Creative, a place to explore how playfulness, art, curiosity, and creativity enrich the human experience. I'm your host, Sarah Moyle, a visual storyteller and creative catalyst. I'm endlessly curious about the ways people bring creativity, experimentation, art, and play into different areas of their lives. So listen in to learn from play experts, artists, musicians, scientists, and so many more interesting people. Today, we welcome Lindsay Hiebert, a technology veteran whose journey has spanned companies such as Intel and Cisco. Lindsay has a background in artificial intelligence, machine learning, 5G, networking, IoT, and the AI software development and cloud-native technologies, as well as using the newly released ChatGPT OpenAI API software for large language models, and the usage of AI, 5G, networking, and security to build new applications, products, and solutions, and to automate workflows to increase productivity. His expertise is in product management, product marketing, and collaborating with high-performance, cross-functional teams in the tech industry. Today, he'll share his insights and experiences so far about using, developing, working with, and exploring the capabilities of OpenAI's ChatGPT. What it is, how it works, and how you can use it to boost your creativity, productivity, and creative workflows. So no matter who you are, where you're from, or how you like to be creative or playful, we're glad you're here with us today on the Playful Creative. Welcome, Lindsay. I'm so excited to have you with us here today on the Playful Creative.
Great to be here with you, Sarah.
And we're going to talk about something that has been a hot topic lately, ChatGPT.
It has been a hot topic. The whole world is abuzz about it.
Yes. So let's start by, for those who don't know anything, let's pretend someone's been living in a cave for the past month and doesn't know anything about ChatGPT. What is it?
Well, you just have to ask your neighbor what it is because all my neighbors know about it. It's basically an evolutionary change that came onto the market about in November with the announcement of OpenAI. OpenAI is the organization that announced it. It is an artificial intelligence generative pre-trained transformer that is now accessible to people. And what makes it remarkable is it's usable. It's a product that works, and people found out about it, and it just has exploded. Everyone, students, teachers. I mean, today in the Wall Street Journal, there was a front page article about, Sam Altman testifying in Congress today about, hey, let's have some regulation about it because everyone is concerned about bad actors and people misusing the technology.
So how does it work exactly?
It's phenomenal. So basically, there's a lot. I listen to a lot of experts who talk about, how to convey and communicate what is ChatGPT. And there's dozens, hundreds of sessions going on that you can just join in meetups and various other places. But the technology is remarkable. It allows people to, it's essentially taken the entire corpus, you can think of Wikipedia, the World Wide Web, all the information that's been largely available in the public domain. And it has basically trained, there's two aspects of neural networks. One is the learning aspect called neural network learning, and the other one is inference. So training a model on data, taking these very large data sets and training it, is the culmination of what OpenAI has been doing. And it's basically having machines run and process the data with 175 billion parameters.
Wow.
Which is a very complex, network of relationships. You can think of the relationships in the brain. The brain has 86 billion neurons. Well, 175 billion parameters. A neuron's not the same as a parameter, but it explains the complexity of the model.
Mm-hmm.
And what has happened is the way that Matt Wolf lists 992 AI products on his website. He's another, very big evangelist in the AI market and talking about the news on a daily basis. And he talks about 992 companies that are now making products that are using ChatGPT, which is remarkable. And another website talks about another 335 products. And you're thinking, wow, hundreds of companies, thousands of companies are just creating products every day that are doing astonishing things with ChatGPT and other generative AI, not just ChatGPT, but things like that. And that's remarkable. What OpenAI has done, though, is make all this information super easy to access and very accessible through a very simple user interface, very similar to what Google provided with the. Why do people use Google? It's a simple search bar. You just go to Google and you just use it. Same way here with OpenAI's ChatGPT. They've done a remarkable job of making the technology super usable. The way that Matt Wolf described it, he said, basically nothing happened for 50 years in AI, and then all of a sudden OpenAI created a user interface that was usable for people and accessible, and everything exploded. Well, there's other technologies like Midjourney and Stable Diffusion and other things that work in the graphics domain, but essentially, his explanation is like, and maybe that was not Matt Wolf, because I get all the different people I listen to confused sometimes, and it's like they all meld into each other. So that may have been someone else, but it's very interesting.
Yeah,
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it and how easy it is to use, I ask people regularly, I say, are you using ChatGPT? And they say, yeah, I'm using it for my own research, my own hobbies. I'm getting better. I'm doing my learning plan. I do all these things. It's very interesting to listen to what people are doing and how excited they are about using the technology.
Yeah, that was my next question for you, is how people are using it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
For their study plans, for investments, for creating, logos, for doing creative marketing, for doing podcasts, for doing scripts, for doing story writings, for doing training. Teachers are using it to basically give quiz and tests. Your students are using it to basically take the tests, and it's becoming a race of who can do prompt engineering faster and better and quicker. Companies are using it to automate. Companies are stopping employees from using it because they don't want their information to leak out. Entire countries are banning the technology, like Italy and others that say, we don't really like, we don't like this. We think you're taking our information because you're vacuuming it up, and maybe there's some privacy things that we need to do, so we need to shut this down. And those are concerns. But the interesting thing about the technology is that companies today have the ability to take their own private data and do the same thing with like $120, and you can have your own data and you can create your own AI on your computer or within your company, within your organization. So you can be like a McDonald's, or you can be like a Citibank, or you can be, any company, and take your own private data and make, I'll call it a operational private, capability set that operates and works just like ChatGPT, to basically, what I think of it is like unlocking an intelligence. If you think of, I was in university. I attended 7 universities, but one time I was floored when a university professor said, intelligence is the ability to make connections. And I couldn't stop thinking about what he said there when he talks about intelligence is the ability to make connections. And it's almost like a philosophical question. It was a philosophy class. And when you think about that, that's essentially what human beings have been doing for millennia, is creating more and more intelligent things through our own thought. Technology is actually just thought. Technology is like, your thought creates things. And then this is the evolution of people and things. And now we have machines that can create they don't create thought, but they're able to do something else that's quite remarkable, is like emulate, transfer, transmute thought. And just like we had the calculator and the Texas Instruments and numerical calculations and all these new superpowers that came into creating more and more human intelligence through thought. When Einstein in 1905, came up with 5 seminal papers of big ideas through thought experiments, the laser, the theory of relativity, all these different thought ideas. And we're surrounded by inventions today that we take for granted, from those thought experiences. He thought it was his mind frame, his ability to ask the question and make these thoughts. And science is that.
Yeah.
Science is about that.
And so I was just at the EPIC International Summit 2 weeks ago, which is a really unique conference around creativity and positive social change. And so ChatGPT came up multiple times, as you would expect, through the course of the conference. And it was really interesting to hear some of the ways that people are putting it to work and, saving time and increasing efficiency. And for example, I took a podcast workshop too from Mark Sylvester, and he talked a lot about how he uses it to find new guests for his show, come up with questions to ask them about their areas of expertise, and a lot of different things that save him a lot of time researching, like you said, finding information, making connections. And then I also heard a lot of fear from people, fear of the unknown. I think also feelings of insecurity and worry that this technology will replace human creativity. And I know we've been seeing a lot of AI generated art as well. Yeah, which has been really fascinating. So what are your thoughts on how ChatGPT and AI in general, kind of where their place is in the world of art and creativity?
Oh, I think it's going to be like Sam Altman and, even Saul Khan. I don't know if you know who Saul Khan is. He's the big Khan Academy. He created a new ChatGPT powered academy tutor called Khan Amigo recently, that he talked about just a few days ago, maybe last week, in a TED talk. He had a standing ovation where people were, thundering applause with his perspective of how it was going to help human beings, people, children, adults, everybody learn at a super rate, and talking about the benefits of having, basically an intelligent agent, very friendly and kind of like guided, certainly with some guardrails on it, but he had a very hopeful, positive, optimistic attitude. He said, yeah, there's dangers to watch out for bad actors. There's things that you don't want it to do. There's questions, so you do want to do this. So you can't see what you don't know, and you can't really understand what you don't know you're not looking for. I mean, this is a very interesting in the whole transformation or the evolution of human civilization, and every good thing that's ever come about human progress. It's always natural to be afraid of things that you don't know. But the interesting thing, on the other side, is that you can't really see the things that you don't know you're not looking for. You can't see the things that you don't know you're not looking for. I keep on saying that, and it's actually true. And Ryan North, I don't know if you read any of his books. Ryan is another big author that talks about, why did it take 240,000 years for human beings to invent many of the things that they do? Why didn't human progress occur in a faster rate, and so on and so forth? And the interesting thing is that everything has been around us for so long, but it takes people to ask the question. So people always have to be, people are the intelligence behind everything. And just because ChatGPT exists, it has no ability to really, it was trained with intention. I mean, it was trained to kind of like make connections and make tokenization of the human language with attention, transformers, a certain type of neural network capability set that allowed it to be trained and work in the way it does. But it's really the human being. So what this has done, really, as I've used it almost on a daily basis for all sorts of use cases, building applications. Like one morning I woke up and I thought, I wonder, the universe is created with all the elements of the periodic table. I wonder if I'll, what it would be like for me to ask GPT about the universe of elements. And then I thought, maybe I'll ask ChatGPT to create a program that teaches chemistry this morning. And I'll just ask it, hey, ChatGPT, could you create a program for yourself that could teach students to learn the periodic table and chemistry elements? And it did it.
Oh,
and
cool.
It created an application that is basically on my laptop, and I can ask it questions, and it interacts with me on the periodic table, and it gets information from Wikipedia. And I thought, I would never be I was a software developer in Bell Labs for Cisco, for Intel, for all these different companies, but I wouldn't be able to do that quickly. And it was astonishing
Wow.
that it was able to build this application so quickly. And then I thought, well, ChatGPT is existing in the public domain. I wonder if I asked it to create a private ChatGPT for me, and I actually just did that. I came up with a question. And these are the things that it allows you to do. But who has the questions? You have the questions, and you make the intelligence. So it's guided by intent. You have to kind of like ask this question. But some of the most interesting things I've learned is that, how sometimes when you're with a friend and there may be a miscommunication, maybe your friend has a different perspective or point of view, or maybe they're seeing things, which is about creativity. And ChatGPT makes you very aware of context and the importance of specificity of language and giving intent. So I think it's going to vastly improve human communication skill. I think it's already doing those things, letting people be very aware of context, of prompt, so you can ask ChatGPT can you play this role? And this is the context, and this is the background, and this is the specificity, and this is the role. Can you act in these different ways? Can you play the role of the teacher and the student at the same time and have a dialogue? And it can actually write a script for that. So it's very, very interesting.
One thing that was just coming to my mind is, so now I have young kids. I have a child in first grade. And so I'm seeing how much school has changed for him since when I was in elementary school. And so I'm wondering, and there's pros and there's cons, right, to how it has changed. And I'm wondering how it will change now in the way kids do their homework. I used to have to look stuff up like in books.
Right.
Versus now they have the internet, and now they have ChatGPT.
Yeah.
How that will change. And I wonder too, and I'm sure there are lots of childhood learning experts looking at this too, but how it will affect our attention spans, our inquisitive spirit, and our willingness to pursue and explore ideas when it seems like things have just been getting faster and faster and easier to come up with answers.
That's a great question. I mean, that's the $1 million question, the $1 billion question. What is it going to do? For me personally, what I found, and I reflect on this every day for the last 6 months, that I've used ChatGPT almost on a daily basis, probably several hours a day. But what I found is it really has increased super learning capabilities. I mean, it has made me so engaged, and I wake up every day and think, wow, this is a great day. And it's like, I wonder, it's like, what can I create today? What can I actually do today? It's like, what can I actually find out, and how can I organize the information and transmute the information so you can think of that, it's ChatGPT is not a search engine. It's almost like a it allows you to so like in the human brain there's language generation capabilities and language understanding capabilities with I think it's Voker's area or Wernicke's area, and then there's the FOXP2 gene that's genetically came into the human being about 40,000 years ago that allowed generative recursive language capabilities of human beings to essentially have metacognition, or what we think of as sentience, of us reasoning of like, I think you thought basically the theory of mind is that human beings are very good about not only generating language, but it's through language, even though we are visual creatures and we have all these senses, it's through our language that we are advancing at a very rapid rate. And language has a lot of interaction between all the other sensory modalities that we have. The human brain is multimodal. But what I found is that ChatGPT has definitely, it's increased the ability of human beings to have the power to, and students and everybody, I mean, not just me, it's everybody. Everybody's realizing that they may have struggled with how to create thoughts, but the ability to kind of like jumpstart, and the thoughts may not be good because sometimes they're like hallucinations, or they're maybe off base, or maybe they're not grounded. They're basically apocryphal. It's like it made stuff up because it's not really a human being, and you have to do some fact checking. So it creates this skill within the human being to more be attentive to facts and reality, and be very aware, acutely aware of the fact that just because something came out of the machine, you think it's a computer, now you really do have to check it, because those are just tokens. And although it helps you in language capabilities, in some things it's extremely accurate. Like if I ask it to, like I give it a Python program, or I give it a software program, and I say, can you see an error in here? And I can't see it. And it can say, yeah, I can see it. I can definitely make some corrections, but sometimes its corrections are wrong. It's not always right. So it just is about, because it's absorbed and ingested so much information, it's likely to be about as right as any other expert is, but it still could be quite wrong. And that's what it's, so now the human being will have to be more intelligent to correct it, and always have this extra skill to be skeptical and critical of what it's seeing, what ChatGPT or these machine tools are seeing. So I think that using ethical, responsible AI will build skills in human beings so that they become very intelligent and very skeptical, not skeptical, but just aware. It's like awareness. So what this intelligence capability set will do is create new levels of conscious awareness in people to be smarter, better, faster, quicker, and be super learners. That's my thinking of it, and that's my experience with it so far. It's like all of a sudden my ability to think and process information, I am much more aware of both the limitations of what you're seeing and also the media. So I think that, hopefully that people will learn these skills and be aware of it. I think that these will be curriculums within schools that will be taught about, they're already being taught. I mean, students and educators are already saying, hey, it can hallucinate. Be aware of that, the fact that it can hallucinate. I mean, this information is all out there.
Yeah. I haven't used it a ton myself, but when I have used it, I've used it like a brainstorm buddy.
Oh, yeah. It's super good at that.
And it's great. It has gotten me unstuck on several occasions where I'm just like, I have writer's block, or I'm just, for some reason, I'm procrastinating on something because I just haven't found my inspiration yet. So the things I have had it spit back at me have been very helpful in my creative process. And I will say what I have gotten back has been more on the generic end versus
Yes.
which is fine. And it's actually been nice because it is very good at being succinct.
Yes.
So one of the things I have loved is as I'm writing scripts for short videos that I do, which often tend on the first draft to be too long, and then I have to go back and be like, okay, what can I take out? This is able to give me like the shortest possible version. Then I can add stuff in to make it richer. So
Yes.
yeah.
Preparing for this episode, I mean, for example, last night I thought, hey, I'm coming into this podcast, and I asked ChatGPT for some possible thoughts and ideas I might share. And basically, it wrote a 300-page book. I mean, more than that, of that much detail. And I thought, there's no way I can share this information on this podcast, is because this would take like 55 episodes.
Uh-huh.
But it's like all this information, and I read it all pretty much, and I made it summarize it in about 20 different ways. But it's like, okay, this is kind of astonishing. I know, that the brain has 70 billion, octane, 70 billion neurons or cells in the brain. I know that 100 trillion or trillions of them die every day. I know the relationship between ChatGPT and these other things, but it's phenomenal, the capability. But you do have to be very specific about what you're asking, and you do have to ask it. But the thing is, again, ChatGPT can't tell you what you don't know, and you don't know. It's like you want to ask it, hey, could you tell me the things that you know that I should know that I should ask you, or the parameters? And it's like it doesn't know that.
Right.
Like you don't know. You have to come up with the thing. I was on a walk or run recently in the neighborhood, and I stopped with a medical doctor, and I was telling him about ChatGPT, and he said, I've never heard of it. And I said, well, what kind of practice do you do? And he said, I'm a cancer doctor. And I said, well, ask it a question here, and I'll just take out my mobile phone. And he asked it a very complicated question. I didn't even understand the medical terminology. He asked it a really complicated question about his treatment. And he said, that's about right. And I thought, so, and I didn't understand the language or the terminology or
Sure.
anything, but what the experience was is that he thought he was asking it about a particular kind of research that he's doing. And
Uh-huh.
he said, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
cool. It'll be really interesting to see how, this is just the beginning, see how it continues to evolve, and hopefully mostly in good ways. Um,
Indeed.
Lindsay, do you have a challenge that you would like to pose to our listeners
Yes,
for yeah, for today?
I would. I would like to have the listeners ask a question. What are they most interested about in ChatGPT? What are their thoughts about using it for, their work, their creative work at work itself, and actually in their personal lives? That would be like one question. So those are the questions that I ask just walking around the neighborhood,
Uh-huh.
and I stop students and say, have you heard of ChatGPT, and what are you doing with it? And it's fun to actually listen to them talk about it, about how their students and friends are using it in
Mm-hmm.
school, and how they're getting answers. And some of them are concerned about it cheating, some of them are not, but they're, it's very, very interesting. So my questions to the audience would be, how are you using it? What are your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts about it? And, just like your podcast, I mean, when I saw your work, Sarah, for Intel, about how creative you were and how you took open source software and how you illustrated it, I thought, this is awesome, because I didn't understand open source this way, but it allows you to really relate and have it memorable and and relate the concepts in a different way. I thought, this is really an astonishing person, and I had to reach out to you and just say hello. And I thought, this is an
Oh.
incredible visual artist, so talented and able to tell
Ah.
stories. But that's like a creative capability. And that's something that a machine will never have, the ability to transfer and transmute across these different domains and change ideas. So that's
Ooh, well,
kind of
now that's what I need to do. I need to test it and ask it if it can come up with metaphors for things. I'm curious to see what it puts out. We'll see if it has any ideas. That's fun. That's gonna be my takeaway, my challenge is gonna be to play with that and see how it does in that area. But I
yeah,
would also say if you're listening to this and you haven't checked it out yet, pick a few
definitely do.
questions and check it out and think about how you could put it into your workflow and then let us know in the comments.
Yeah. Well, not only ChatGPT, but I think we have to also say Google's out there with Bard. Bard just came online with their API. I just found out about it, you know, yesterday, the day before yesterday, and started using it. And actually, it's astonishing as well. You can ask. So what I've been doing is putting both of ChatGPT and OpenAI side by side and just asking the same question
Same
and seeing how
question.
they're different, which is phenomenal. They have different personalities. They answer the question in different ways.
Cool.
And you can, I mean, I have them both up right now on my different screens. If anyone has a question or anyone wants to ask a question, we can ask ChatGPT. A lot of the sessions I attend is that someone, in the meetup, they say, join my ChatGPT session. And all it is a group of 20 or 30 people asking ChatGPT these questions. And the host is just saying, what question would you like to ask, Tom? And then he types it in and it comes in. And
Really interesting.
yeah, so
Cool.
that's
Cool.
another interesting session. I've been attending some of those meetups. Yeah, but
Awesome.
it's fun.
Well, thank you so much for chatting about this today. I know it's a really hot topic and um one that I think people who consider themselves to be creatives, especially, are either really excited about or very worried about. So I appreciate you coming on here and chatting about it a little bit.
Absolutely. And thanks for hosting your program. I mean, it's awesome to have your leadership about playful creative. I love that term, playful creative. That's perfect. That's awesome. That's
Thank
exactly what
you.
it needs to be, is playfully creative, where you feel
Yes.
safe and you're playful and you're creating things. So
Yep. And no
that's
matter what you're doing,
yeah,
everyone can be playful and creative in their lives.
indeed. We all
Yep.
need to be more of it.
Yes. So, thanks for listening. If you found this interesting or you think others would be interested to listen, please share, forward this along. And also, if you have ideas for people you want to hear from next, just drop me a line. Thank you.